Good morning. This is Jason Dean back at it again. Jason Dean, Film Fanatic. So yeah, this is another of the continuing saga of the Friday the 13th movies. It's pretty funny because I uh, I realized how one of my problems is sometimes I'm not the most organized person, to be frank. So I have to a lot of the times I have to take notes for things, or if I don't write things down, that's a pretty common thing. But for me, I get really disoriented pretty quickly, and I forget where I left off and where I started, and so it's a sequence thing. So I that's the same thing that happened because I'm new to the YouTube thing and to the YouTube channel, and I saw that, and I know there's a way that which I've done a bunch of times where you can set the videos and premiere them and set them ahead of time. And when I first started doing this series with this channel, when I was set out to do this pretty ambitious project where I'm going to be covering all the movies with reviews, my regular reviews on the Instagram page and on Film Fanatic, the Facebook page, I was doing a video to accompany it and putting them all on my YouTube channel. So I started to when I was starting off with the show, I was doing the videos and then uploading them the same time that I was finishing them. And then I realized I wanted to maybe separate, break it up a little bit and set them, in the future. So I started doing that. But then I realized I lost track of what videos I actually had done because there's a lot. There's like about 13 or 14 videos I've done. So I started doing a lot of videos before I got into the series again, which has been great and it's been a blast. And then I had this whole idea to do this series. And I totally got sidetracked as to what video I posted and what I recorded and what had been uploaded. And that's exactly what happened. I had to go through all the lists of the videos and I didn't label them. I made the mistake of not really labeling them. So when I went to upload them, I was doing that, but they ended up being out of order. And then also I forgot a couple of movies uh, that either I didn't upload or that I didn't record. And this is one of them. So bear with me. It's a pretty big, ambitious project doing all these videos, but it's super fun. So this movie, since I'm going a little bit out of order now, is Jason Takes Manhattan. This was the last disc and the last movie in the box set that I got a couple of years ago. And this one also stars Kane Hodder as Jason Voorhees. He's the most well-known actor to play Jason Voorhees. He's played that role for four movies. This came out in 1989. This was the first movie that took Jason out of the universe of Camp Crystal Lake and put him in New York City. There was a lot of flack when this movie came out because really the only it's kind of an odd movie because the most of the movie just kind of takes place on this boat that's kind of on its way to New York, and about the last 15 or 20 minutes is takes place in Manhattan. So I know a lot of fans were really excited and anxious. I was too to see him, be in New York City and just like killing everything and everyone and just wreaking havoc on the city where there's like millions of people and potential victims. So everyone was looking forward to that. So it's a little bit disappointing as far as the lead up and how they set it up, but it's still a great movie. The other thing is that this movie was for the whole franchise was one of the well, it was kind of considered a bomb. It really did not do well in the box office. It really tanked, and I think it might have been various factors. I think you know I mean across the boards, none of these movies have gotten like great reviews per se, or really have been acknowledged by mainstream critics as like legitimate films. They they look at everything that they kind of review and write about as it has to be like kind of a serious, adult themed kind of movie. They never really gave like the genre of horror per se credibility as it being like a legitimate art form and that it's entertaining and that there's a lot of people, millions of people that really enjoy these films, but they always refuse to dismiss that. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing for in terms of like say the Academy Awards. They have really, with the exception, I believe, of like Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs, where he won Best Actor, and I consider that to be a horror film. It's more of a psychological film, but I consider that to be a horror film. And that was the only film that I can think of off the top of my head that was really acknowledged as like a legitimately great film. So, but it's very rare. That was like one, once in a lifetime. I remember when uh, Ari Aster's movie Hereditary came out with Toni Collette, who's an amazing actress, like one of the greatest actresses of her generation. She's so versatile, and I've always loved her. Her first movie, the first time I saw her was in The Sixth Sense, and she's amazing in that. And everything she's done since then has been just interesting and different. She's always pushing her limits, and also she always plays these incredibly dynamic and versatile characters that are multi-dimensional, whatever genre it is. And The Sixth Sense was definitely a horror movie too. And around the time when she did Hereditary, which I thought was easily, and that's definitely a full-on horror film by Ari Aster, an amazing director. That movie was completely ignored by anybody, and I don't really, put a lot of credibility so much into the the world of the Academy Awards. I think a lot of it's BS, and it's just a big show, and it's a big balloon. If you just popped it, it would just explode. But I don't really think it's got any real, merit or credibility. There's some films that the Academy has acknowledged that's been like that are legitimately great, but for the most part they ignore everything, and it's all about politics. But I thought it was really horrible that Toni Collette that year when Hereditary wasn't even nominated, because I thought easily that year she was the best thing on screen as far as a lead actress or an actor. And it's just part of the whole thing of where horror isn't given any legitimacy by the powers that be, and that's fine because people will still see them and people will still spend their money for them no matter what. And so, but getting back to what started that uh, talk about you know how Hollywood doesn't give any legitimacy to horror films. This movie, Jason Takes Manhattan, was a commercial flop, and it was. I think it went on after a few years. It went on to definitely find an audience. I think it's compared to the other ones, I don't think it's as great. But I mean and it's funny, the production value seems to go down quite a bit on these films. But it's so campy and silly that I actually do enjoy it. I think it's one of those things where it totes that line of where it's so bad it's good, that it goes into these extreme places of just where it's just kind of bad, or so bad it's kind of absurd that it almost tips it in the other direction where it's kind of good and an enjoyable ride. And this movie plays more like a little bit more of a cotton candy amusement park kind of a ride. They all do, but this one is a little bit lighter. But the kills are pretty good, and I thought they did a pretty good job with the death of Jason towards the end. It is cool to see him in the Big Apple, even though I wish there was more of that. But for what it is, I thought it was good, and I think this film has gone on to find an audience, even amongst Friday the 13th fans and people outside of that are into horror films. it's definitely an entertaining film, and it's the last disc that I have on the box set. It's part 8. So yeah, we'll be finishing up probably this week or so with all these movies, and I'm really excited. So stay tuned, and thank you again for your support. This is Jason Dean. If you get a chance, like and subscribe to my page. That would be really awesome. And always check out my Facebook page, Film Fanatic, and also my Instagram page, Film Fanatic at Maine, where I also have all the posts and stuff that I put on my pages. So thanks again, and we will see you soon. Cheers.